Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Poor Choices with Tugs, myself, and the lovely Valliant Renegade. Fresh from the holidays. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
God, it's kind of crazy how I feel like 2023 was such a pivotal year, I think, for a lot of people. And going into 2024, I have no idea what's going to happen. But, as you're giggling over there.
Yeah, it's look every year you think you know what's going to go down, you're wrong. So
yeah.
It's like who had anything in 2020 on their bingo card? Tell me that one. So yeah.
Funnily enough, as soon as I found out about the 2020 bug, I was like, this is not a 2-week thing.
Yeah. Not even from a medical standpoint, but it was from I was like, there's no way they're gonna just let us go so easily. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah. But we're here now.
I want my money for my passport back, government, by the way.
Good luck with that.
I haven't used it yet. Right? I don't know. I think it's a 10-year one, but we're 4 years in already. And
Wait, you don't have it at all?
No, I do. No, I have it. I got it January of 2020.
Oh, yeah. So you burned basically 2 years off that 10-year roster. Yeah.
I want a refund. I would like a credit. Thanks.
Stupid. It's the process that's more of the pain.
Yeah, well, it's like I got 3 kids. They had passports that we got in 2018, and those passports, if you're under 18, are only good for 5 years instead of 10 if you're not an adult. So that's even. I mean, it's the same. It's cost the same amount of money.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only for 5 years.
Because they grow and they need the pictures updated and change and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, they only do kid passports for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I guess we learned a new thing. I have no idea. Oh, wait. And babies. Is that even less? Or you have no idea?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how young you have to get a passport for a child. I mean, when I got them, my kids were like, the youngest was 7. So I was well past that point.
God.
Yeah.
Well, we're learning all new things.
Okay. If my internet goes out, it's because it's raining. Sorry in advance.
We're supposed to get some weather this week, I heard. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, not tornado. What is it called? Hurricane.
Oh, no. We're way away from that. I mean, we're still months out from that season, but
was that August, July, August?
It starts May 1st, technically.
Okay.
But usually, if you're gonna get a hurricane, anything that's really bad is going to be August, September. It's going to be in that region, yeah.
But global warming, I heard the weather. I'm kidding.
Fun fact, every person, no matter how young, needs a passport. So if you got yourself a 2-month-old baby, you will absolutely need to get that baby a passport. And it looks like 5 years.
And that makes sense because otherwise you could have people with legitimate passports kidnapping children and taking them out of the country.
This baby, I swear, is mine.
They could do that anyway. When I watched The Sound of Freedom, they absolutely did that anyway. I mean, it's 15 or younger are valid for 5 years, and then applicants. So you get your 2-month-old a passport, and then 5 years. Like, that kid's changed so much in 5 years.
You can have any picture in the passport. Who would know?
You're right. Yeah.
Who was it? There was someone on Dadcast that came on and said that they were planning a trip, but the baby had been born, so they had to get a passport. I forgot who it was. But anyways,
like in the hospital delivery room taking a picture.
Sorry, we gotta take the passport picture. Make sure you keep your eyes open.
Right before they went out of town, or was it?
Yeah, right before they went out of town. I forgot who it was. Maybe chat would know. So
it's like, why would you have a trip planned if you're due?
I don't know.
Or was honestly, the baby must have been early or something.
Chrissy said that she can't travel the last 3 months of her pregnancy because people don't want babies born on planes.
Oh, is that still a thing? I thought we got past that.
I don't usually. I mean, I remember when my wife was pregnant each time. Now my wife she was high risk, but I remember they didn't want her to fly, especially. I think it was in the final trimester. They really didn't want her to fly because the change in pressure can cause issues. It could trigger labor or something like that. I don't remember. So that's usually why they don't want pregnant women to fly towards the end there because that pressure change. I mean, when you're up 30,000 feet and
not near a hospital,
things can happen.
Well, especially if you're high risk. Like, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's for everybody, but I remember having that conversation with my wife's OBGYN when she was pregnant with our 3 kids and something to do with flying that didn't want her to do it. So it was medical related.
Well, that's beyond me. I only take pictures. I'm a button pusher. It's so crazy because back in the day, they used to actually take a picture of the pelvis to see if the baby could fit through the pelvis. Now they do ultrasound to measure that out. But
that's interesting.
It was so weird to see. Like, I've done it a few times where I had to take pictures of pregnant women. It's not a good situation usually when they get to that point. But very, very interesting seeing those pictures.
On a lighter note, does your sweatshirt say, "Yes, you're cold"?
Yes, I'm cold. Me 24/7.
I want that.
It's
always
from Shein, I believe.
Of course, I love Shein.
Yeah,
Shein.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think this would be a shirt that Sparkle would wear. I feel like it would be.
I don't know. She usually doesn't complain about being cold too much, at least that I can't
always
remember.
Cold.
So
wait until she gets to her adult years. I find that it didn't happen when I was a teenager, but as soon as you just like full grown adult, who knows? But yeah, how was having the kids home for the holidays? Because this is the first time you've had a kid, live far away.
Yeah.
And the traditions, you could still do them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, she's not too far away when it comes to college. But yeah, she came in very briefly for Thanksgiving, and then she came in, I think it was 1 or 2 days before Christmas Eve. Yeah, I think she came in on the 22nd. And then she stayed through New Year's Eve. I was driving home this weekend. I was up in the country visiting some friends. We call it the farm out there in St. Francisville. And I was driving home Sunday, and she's like, well, I'm going to go back to college tonight because all my friends are having a party. So she left like 15 minutes before I got home. But then she came back. She came back last night. So she's back in town for another week, thereabout, before classes start up again. So it's nice to have her in. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. College parties were really fun. I mean, in Canada, the drinking age was a little lower, but in the States, I find it so odd that it's 21.
I don't understand that either. I can go to war and die for my country and drink in literally every other country but my own at the age of 18. But in America, It's 21. I don't understand that either. And it wasn't always that way. It was 18.
When
it's
did that
changed
change?
over time. Yeah.
It's changed. My mom was born in 1961, so she turned 18 in the early 70s, so somewhere around there, because she turned 18 and they changed it right as she turned 18.
Oh, that is horrible.
And then they had other laws that got confusing. I know New Orleans had an issue for a while, or really the state of Louisiana, and I think they still have it this way, is to where you can, at one point, you still couldn't drink. You couldn't buy alcohol till you were 21, but they would let you into a bar at 18. So it got really, it was, I could tell you when I was in high school, that was the case, because we used to have several places we knew around New Orleans that were very lax on their ID verification standards. And, I can tell you there's a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds in some of these places on the weekends. And,
that's still
like
that
a
way.
trap. Well, as a full-grown adult, I would never go to those places if I were male, especially if I were male.
There weren't any full-grown adults in there. I mean, it was
all just under.
It was all like older high school kids and college kids. That's all it was. The adults didn't go.
Yeah. They're still to this day. I mean, fake IDs. I mean, they think they're they're harder now to mimic, but fake IDs are still a thing that people do. So.
Oh, now you got holograms and all kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. You have to be careful.
I know, like down here, if you're underage, until you turn 21, your ID orientation is actually vertical instead of horizontal. Yeah, so I mean they've changed a lot of things over time to try to mitigate some of the issues that they've had in the past.
The vertical thing is so frustrating because, like me, I turned 21 while my ID was still vertical, and nobody believed me, and so they would have to like math, and I was like, please let me in.
My god!
You pretty much have to go back to the DMV at that point and just get it reset early. You know?
Yeah, it's so
Ooh,
annoying.
is that even possible? Like,
Yeah.
people, I hate people at the DMV so much. Like, literally, that the movie with the bunny cop where the sloths are at the DMV and they're moving so slow. It's like that in real life.
Yes.
Well, I
some
tell you,
them
one of the
are-
good things I've learned as a dad in recent years, because I didn't have this growing up, we all had to go to the DMV. You had to get your driver's license, you had to renew a driver's license, anything like you had to go to the DMV, or we call it the OMV here in Louisiana, the Office of Motor Vehicles, just to be different. But you'd have to go there to do anything. And you'd walk in, and it was like being in line at the deli, except when you pulled the ticket off the little rack and
the
sit there and you go, oh, I'm number 96. It was like, well, that means I'll be here for 3 hours. But you're like you're E96, and they were still on C12. So you still had like 2 full rotations. You'd sit there. Now, what I found out with 2 daughters that have driver's license now is that you can set up an appointment when they go get their tip card, their temporary instructional permit. So now it's not like we used to have, you'd get a learner's permit and then you get a license.
Yep.
Now you've got a tip card that you have to get before driver's ed so that you can take driver's ed. Then once you complete driver's ed, you can turn in the paperwork and turn that into a permit. And then after 6 months of having a permit, you go in and get the license. So you got 3 trips. But the beauty is this. The only time you actually have to go to the DMV now is to get the tip card. Once you have the tip, there's a notary office around the corner from my house. You literally walk in. They can do all of that on behalf of the DMV.
Really?
So I don't go to the DMV. Yeah, I'm like in and out. I'm 10 minutes. Instead of a 3-hour trip to the DMV, it's 5-10 minutes.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So like when my second one has to go back and get her full license in a few months, I'm not going to the DMV. I'm going to go over to
F that.
go
Oh my
over.
God.
Yeah, you just go over and trade it up at that
So
point.
it's even weirder here in Texas
Mm-hmm.
because you have the DMV. Okay. But in order to get your license, we just did this with Duke. In order to get your license changed, you have to go to the Department of Public Safety, 2 completely different places. Now, for me, I have a car under my name, so when I register mine, I'm going to have to go to 2 different places in order to get them both done. It's wild. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I have to do what? What?
And Texas doesn't have a system like we do in Louisiana where like a notary's office they have notary's office here that specialize in auto title and license issues. So you can go there and do most of that stuff at a private company. And so, for example, if it costs you $30 or $50 or whatever to get a driver's license at the DMV, it's that plus like an extra $25 for the
Worth it
convenience
for that
fee.
time. Oh my God.
Totally worth it. Totally
Well,
worth it.
I honestly don't know. I have to look into that notary thing because that would be nice. For the car portion of it, at least, would be very nice. That we have a Department of Public Safety here in Bastrop, but it's little, so like appointments and the wait times are easy. It's appointment only out here anyway, so you just get your appointment and you go in. But so the license part is not going to bother me with the fact, but we don't have a DMV here. I have to drive an hour to Austin to get my car registered. So I don't know. The notary thing I'm going to have to look into because that would be cool. So yeah, it's too.
Louisiana is very different than most other places when it comes to the law because we still on the old Napoleonic code from 200 some odd years ago. But I would think in terms of efficiency, there's probably a lot of things that you can do like that might not have to go to an actual, DMV office or whatever. Check into it.
It's weird
That'd be good.
I can get my car I need a VIN inspection because it's out of state. And I have to do that with a very specific officer here. Like, you can't just go and knock on the police station, be like, hey, you got a cop around or a highway patrol guy. Can you just do this for me? Or just swing into the DMV and do it. You have to have a certain, I have to look up, I can't remember the exact officer now. But he's like the warrant officer or something. And he has to do it. So you have to set an appointment with the warrant officer. I don't know. It's so weird.
Model of government efficiency. It's
like,
always.
What the heck? Back home, I can
in
just
Canada,
knock on the DMV door.
We got it right. It's all in one place.
Right?
I love it.
It's all in one place here in
too.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just, but
It's just a long line.
Yeah, it's a long line. But like I said, for most things, you can take care of it at a private business, a private law office or notary office. It can do it if they specialize in that, which is nice. The only thing you can't do is like if you have a driver's license suspension for a violation or something like that, then there's only a few DMV offices you can go to. You have to go to, like, I couldn't go to the one near me. I'd have to go to one somewhere else. So that's the only thing that could be a real pain in the butt. But the normal, regular routine stuff, they've actually made it pretty easy here, which is nice.
That's interesting.
Well, I'm going to read some super chats, but I do have some questions now since we talked about cars. But Professor Savage Dad has become a Lush member on the channel. Thank you so much, Professor Savage Dad. And Jonathan Stevie has gifted 5 Poor Choices membership.
Hoorah.
So we got more members in the channel. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Also, Jonathan blew out his tire yesterday. So this is something dads should always teach you, or moms if they know it, but like how to change a tire, because he did.
I know how, but I'm not always strong enough.
I don't like doing it, but I for me it's the placement of the crank, because my dad's like, be careful because you could break the plastic of the car.
That's the one thing. Like, yeah, teach the kids to change a tire, but the problem these days is exactly what you just said. It's the fact that vehicles, the jacks that they have in there now and the equipment they have to do it that comes with the car sucks. And, you know, a skinny 15-year-old boy would have trouble cranking that vise, you know, to get it up, to get the car up, let alone a average 15-year-old girl or 16-year-old or something like this. So, I mean, it's like, it's tough for me. I've used that. It's like, if I had to change a tire, I usually have like a real jack.
Yeah, the one where you're like,
out. An actual pneumatic hydraulic jack. Yeah. And I mean, it makes it so much easier, but yeah, it's not, unfortunately, it's not as easy to do.
Yeah. So I know how to change a tire if I place the crank correctly. If not, I might have a broken car, but we'll see. Psychotic Mongoose has gifted a Poor Choice membership. Thank you, Psychotic. Okay, now the question I have: did you teach your daughters how to drive,
or did you send them to a school?
Well, both. You have to here in Louisiana.
Oh, really?
I mean, every state is So, I mean, I don't know where it's like in every other state, but in Louisiana, I mean, even when I was growing up, well, no, I take that back. When I was growing up, I don't know if driver's ed, like a formal driver's ed course, was mandatory. But I do remember that at the very least, that if you took driver's ed in Louisiana, like an official course, your insurance rates would be lower. So everybody did it for that reason, because we have the highest car insurance rates in the country is right here in Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess
it's because we have so many uninsured drivers out there, and that's part of the problem. Yeah, it's high risk because, and not to mention the fact that our lawyer to population ratio per capita is the highest in the country, probably too.
Oh my God.
Drive in. You don't believe me? Drive in, Tugs. Next time you come into Louisiana from Texas, look at the first 12 billboards you pass. They're all for ambulance chasing lawyers.
Car injury, call us.
Yeah, exactly. Hit by a Mack truck.
Me.
Yeah, get the E-guarantee and all this.
That's
kind
all
of stuff.
Vegas is anymore. If it's not some inappropriate sign coming from Little Darlings in Vegas, it's the lawyer.
Oh yeah, you either get handed out a hooker's phone number or a lawyer's phone number when you're walking down the strip in Vegas. I'm not sure there's much of a difference because you're both of them are going to screw you pretty bad. But no, as it stands, like nowadays you have to do a formal driver's ed course. So both my 18-year-old and my 16-year-old daughter, they both had to do driver's ed. So it's mandatory now. So with that, I think that's why they switched to having this TIP card. They call it the temporary insurance or the temporary instructional permit. You have to get that first so you can take driver's ed, which is now mandatory. And then when you complete that, you get the permit. And then 6 months later, you can get a full license. So, so they went to driving school, but at the same time, every kid, in addition to driving school, I mean, they have to have experience. You're right. Driving school is not going to give them enough experience to pass a driver's test or have the confidence to be safe on the road. So you still, as a parent, have to put them in the car.
Oh my God!
Drive.
That first time driving. Oh, it's so scary.
I took my 16-year-old out. It's been a few weeks. We need to go back and start doing it again. But I was like, taking turns way too fast and all this braking way too late and can't
or they do the
Yeah,
you get whiplash.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I basically put my hands on the dash to brace every time we come up to a stop sign if she actually stops. But no, yeah. I mean, you all go through that as a parent, you teaching your kids to drive because it's like, and you think back to when you were a kid learning to drive. I mean, it was one of my cousins because my mother couldn't do it; she was going to have a heart attack. So my cousin taught me how to drive, and he's much older. Yeah, he's much older. He'd kick me now, but he's 62 and I'm 43. So, just to kind of give you an idea. So he was an adult, been driving a long time. It was a good situation because, he could handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I remember I was the same thing when I was learning to drive. You take turns too quickly. You don't know how to use the brakes correctly. You don't know how to accelerate, decelerate correctly. You have a hard time maintaining a straight line when you're in a lane. The car wavers, it's like you're drifting right, drifting left. And I'm sitting there now with my 16-year-old and I'm reaching over, grabbing the steering wheel and moving it while she's going 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? It's like, well, because I didn't want to hit the other car, stupid. It's like
my favorite was when you're learning to check your blind spots, like I would turn, but my arms would go with me.
Oh, like turn the wheel?
That's hand-eye coordination. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, the natural instinct is that if your hands are doing something, is that your body will follow your eyes in your head. Think about it when you play video games. How many of us sit there with a video game? Like, think of Mario Kart.
And they're like
steering. Yeah. When you play Mario Kart, are you not doing this? Yeah, your body is moving with it. It's just a natural instinct, and you literally have to take that out. You have to unlearn that when you're driving a car, and that's one of the hardest things I think for kids to do at the same time. So
absolutely.
Your hands tend to follow your eyes.
Did you teach them, or were you ever taught like the golden rule?
What's the golden rule?
He who has the gold rules.
My dad, he taught us this. Now he is a cop, retired now, but he was a police officer, and his big thing was, I don't care how safe you drive, obviously drive safely. He goes, but everybody else on the road is trying to kill you. And when you go and drive, everybody on the road is trying to kill you. Not intentionally, but they're trying to kill you. And so we learned that. So he would. And then I when I worked for the police department, and up until a few months ago, we went through driver's training, and they said the same thing. They're like, everybody on the road is trying to kill you. They're on their phones. They're distracted. They're doing this when they turn. They're not paying attention. They don't know how to drive their car. They're girls in too big of a car. They're guys in too small of a car. They're old. They can't see. They are in their little bubble. And that was like the biggest lesson that stuck with me, because when you learn that, and as you get more experience, you can see he's 100% correct. It's wild.
It's true. And especially where I live. I mean, I've had a joke for years. Driving especially, it's unbelievable. And in the last couple of years, they put traffic circles, roundabouts in
I love roundabouts.
I like them too. And people acted like these are the most confusing, difficult things on earth. But I hate them because most other people, unfortunately, are too stupid to use them correctly.
Especially
especially if there's two lanes. People get so confused with the two lanes.
That's the problem right there. Is like it's clearly marked on the road, but most people are just too dumb or they're too lazy and they cruise straight through it. And like if you have, like I'll be taking the outside lane to go straight, and the car in front of you will just basically cruise into the left lane because that's directly in front of them, and that's only to go left. And then at the last minute, they jerk the car back over into the straight lane and nearly hit me. I mean, this happens all the time. So that's the situation where, yes, everybody else on the road is trying to kill you because everybody else on the road is stupid.
Well, and then so Duke being out of town, my boyfriend being out of town, he's got an F-250. So if I want to leave the house, I very quickly have had to learn to drive this truck, and it still makes me nervous because I'm this big and the truck is this big. So I'm careful as much as I can be without, getting honked at, but it blows my mind how different people drive around you when you're in a big car like that. Like, and I don't mean in a good way. You think people would be like more, they would give you more space. Absolutely not. The amount of people that have cut in front of me, that weave around me because I'm a big truck and I'm either moving too slow for them or they can't see around me. I'm like, and I can't stop. It's not like I could just hit the brakes like on a car and go, like it takes me a minute to slow down because I'm in this big, huge truck. It's a diesel, like it's huge. I'm like, oh, so then now I have to relearn. Everybody's still trying to kill me, but differently because I'm in a big truck now.
I love driving the truck.
Your survival rate, though, is much better in that vehicle.
Nice
So,
yeah.
They can hit you, but they're going to lose.
Always.
So, yeah.
I'm just like, you think more people would be more cognizant and be like, oh, this is a big, huge, like me, when I drive my car, I'm very wary of like the big car. Like I give them room, but nope. It's crazy. Wow.
Like, I feel like Texas has a lot of trucks though, right?
Oh, they're everywhere out here. Yeah.
Oh,
and that
Louisiana
may be part
too.
of it too.
Yeah.
Hi.
Louisiana and Texas, I mean, the number one vehicle on the road is a Ford F-150 or F-250, one of the Ford trucks.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not, the second place is not even a close second. So yeah,
I love having like someone in the family with the truck. You always hit them up.
I would
fun.
not want to learn. I like driving it, but
yeah, would not want to learn to drive in a truck.
Oh no, heck no. But
yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I couldn't learn from my parents because they would get too frustrated so quickly. But Valliant, you don't strike me as a person that gets frustrated too quickly.
I can. It depends on the situation. I mean, especially driving around here. Driving around here, I made jokes years ago, and it still stands true. It's like if they made a show, The Real Housewives of Suburban New Orleans. They could do it, and it could all be about driving and women driving huge vehicles poorly and hitting things.
I should move to Louisiana. I'll fit in.
It is a thing. I made a joke years ago, and I pissed people off. I'm like, but it's true. I said, how do you get a woman to have a car accident?
Put her in a truck.
Give her a set of keys. So.
Oh no! Fair.
I mean, it's like, it's so bad. But look, the guys do it too down here. Don't get me wrong. But I swear to you, every near-death experience, or I'd say 90% of the near-death experiences I've had where somebody has completely blown using a roundabout, or somebody that's just literally cruising through solid yellow lines in a parking lot at the grocery store, or like just railing through like nobody else is there. I'm like, every time it's like it's one of the suburban housewives in a very expensive large SUV her husband probably bought her. So it's like, oh my god. Oh yeah.
Passenger princess all day.
When I drive, Mark is always the passenger princess because we drive my car to put the miles on that.
The passenger princess.
And well, my brakes are so sensitive, and because he can't feel his foot, I end up getting like the whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
He drives fine. Yeah. It's just when he brakes, so I'm like, it's just easier if I drive.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Ford Fusion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have an Explorer. I mean, I've been driving one of those for the last over 10 years. I love them. Yeah, I mean, they're great vehicles, and they're simple, and you can do a lot with them. It's like, I need something that I can haul a lot of stuff, that I can pull a boat, and I'm good. So I'm fine. Some people want more expensive, fancy, I got to get the $100,000 Mercedes SUV or whatever. I don't care.
It's not worth it, guys. Honestly,
really
why buy an expensive car that depreciates when it's rolled off?
Literally, the minute you sit in it.
Literally.
I haven't bought a brand new car in ages. I mean, every time I get something that's got off lease or low mileage, or maybe 30,000 miles on it or something, because it's half the price of the new one, and it's just as new. It's like, unless it's been dogged out, but you can figure that out pretty easily. I tell clients this all the time. I see clients that go out and they buy these super expensive cars, and it's like every 5 years, it's like, oh, well, I paid this car off, so it's time for a new one. I'm like, no, bro.
You just paid it off. Why buy another one?
I go for 10 years minimum on the vehicles. The only reason I got the Explorer that I have now in 2019, and I've taught my kids this, and they were there because they saw it happen. They almost got run over.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. I had a 2011 Explorer, which I loved. And my goal was to have it, get it, for 10 years, 2021, 22, I'd go get another one because I usually I could put 20,000 miles on a car easily with what I do. But in 2020, just a couple of months into the coof, I'm up at my friend's farm, same place I was at this weekend for New Year's. And he's got one of these Kubota RTVs. It's like a golf cart, but it's a tank. If you've ever seen these things, it's a Kubota 4-seat, like a front row, back row utility vehicle. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
The entire frame of this thing is just 50,000 pounds of American steel. It's ridiculous. I mean, these things are tanks. Well, my friend got in it. My wife was sitting in the front seat with him. I was behind them in my car, and the two girls were in the flatbed of the Kubota, and my son was standing behind it getting a fishing pole out the back or something like this. Well, unbeknownst to anybody, my friend who was driving this, and I was about maybe 15 feet behind him, directly behind him in that Explorer, I was parked. I was fixing to get back in the car. We were about to keep driving over to the pond. He starts it up, and one of the dogs up there at the farm had jumped into the front just before he turned the ignition, and it was still in gear. Had jumped in, and because my wife was sitting in the passenger seat where the dog would usually sit and jump up on, the dog said, okay, I'll sit on the floor. The dog sat. This is a 50-pound lab. The dog sat on the accelerator. Oh, no. And that thing took off like a bat out of hell in reverse. I watched my son leap out from behind it. He almost got run over. The girls in the back, thank God they had the roll cage on the top because they grabbed onto that. This thing, I've never seen this thing move that fast. And the only thing that stopped it from going back down the hill into the ravine
was your car?
Was my car. Oh. The whole front end got smashed.
Oh, my God.
Imagine the call I had to make to the insurance company when I told them...
they didn't believe. There's no way they believed you. There's no way.
No, I had to tell them. And we had a video of it happen. Well, I don't know if I had the video of it happening, but we had a video of it right after and 4 or 5 witnesses. And they said, well, what happened to your car? I'm like, well...
A dog
drove a tractor into my car. And that's literally what I told him because I'm like, you know what? You're not going to believe anything I tell you, so I might as well just get it out. A dog drove a tractor into my car and totaled it, smashed it to bits. I'm sorry, sir. Could you say that again? If you really want me to, sure. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That was one of the funniest phone calls I've ever made in my life. So anyway, that got me into the car I have now. Same thing. I bought something with like 30,000 miles on it. It was such a good deal. Brand new. The thing was like over 50. And I got it for under 30. So I'm like, well, that's, I mean, I don't know why people buy brand spanking new cars. I mean, I get the attraction to it, but it's like
shiny and new.
I have an Acura TSX. She's a 2009. I bought her in 2014. She with 92,000 miles on her at 16 grand. And if you know anything about Acuras, you know those cars
they last forever
at a minimum of like 40.
Yeah.
So
I love the TSXs.
And she lasts forever. And I will not. The only reason I will get a new one is when we start having kids, or she completely just keels over and it's just not worth the money to put into her. But when we start having,
but those Honda engines, those Honda drivetrains, as long as you just change the oil, change the fluids in the transmission, they'll never die.
It's got 240,000 miles.
You might have to put new suspension on it after 200,000 miles just to get it feeling like it rides new again. But that's kind of normal wear and tear. But other than that, those things just don't die. Take care of them; they last. My 2019, before the dog smashed it with a tractor, it still looked brand new.
Oh, Lord. I don't believe you. This is fake news.
I got 3 kids, a wife, and 2 friends that were there, watched it happen, that were in the cart. I'll tell you.
Did they have to write all statements?
No. The insurance company. I think literally at the end, I think I had a conversation with an insurance adjuster. This was maybe a couple of days later when they were following up, and they asked about this. They said, "That's just the craziest thing we've ever heard." but the gist of it was, and I'm paraphrasing, the guy basically told me, it's so batshit, there's no way you're making this up. And I'm like, thank you. It's not, because I'm like, I got
This is
6
for
other
realsies.
people that can tell that we're right there.
To the dog testify.
3 of them almost died in the process. I'm like,
Yeah.
a dog drove a tractor into the truck. No, it was like it's so crazy that there's no way you're lying. And
Yeah.
it's just So,
So
when
I
I,
did
I sent
find-
him pictures of the tractor and everything. The tractor didn't even have a scuff on it. Nothing.
Oh, it was all on the car.
No, the whole front end of the car just went right through the radiator, folded it in, bent
Wow.
the frame, everything, and the tractor was like, meh.
Me.
No biggie.
Just another Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did Google dogs driving cars. And
Oh,
nothing.
Wasn't that bad. See, that's intentional. This was purely ridiculous accidental coincidence.
He's such a good boy. I wish that.
The
That's
dog that
unfortunate
did
for
that got hit by a car 3 months later.
No! Oh no!
Yeah, true.
Is the dog
True.
alive?
Did he make it? Did he live through it?
No. No.
Oh no!
No.
I was waiting
No.
for a funny
Poor
to
boy.
that story within 2 seconds, and now I'm sad.
God.
Look,
That
I've
is
got
very
3
sad.
dogs at home. It's like if one of them had done that, I might have found a pile of traffic for me to play in. So no, the dogs at the farm. It's kind of common for the dogs around there that happens to, because
They're
they
so
will.
free.
Well, no, they are free. It's farmland, so they're always running around, and the highway is it's a good half a mile off the highway or thereabout, maybe a quarter of a mile off the highway, and a lot of times it's like somebody leaves, my neighbor, my owner, or whatever gets up and gets in the truck, and they just decide, I'm going to follow you out. And it's like you don't know it until you turn on the highway and the dog's behind you running into 70-mile-an-hour traffic. And that's it. So it's unfortunate, but that's how I lost my first dog many years ago.
Farm dogs are like that. Duke's dad has horses out in Washington, and their dogs roam the ranch and all that. But they follow us when we go riding. So we'll take the horses out, and all the dogs. It's like a big convoy of a party, and they'll go in and out of the grass and all this stuff, and it's just like, and the last time we were riding, one of them disappeared. We're like, where'd she go? And she ended up coming home like an hour later, but you just never know, it's just wild. So crazy doggies.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know
think
what
they would
that's
figure
like.
it out, but they don't.
My dogs stay inside, thank goodness. Oh,
Well, like one of the dogs, I've got video from this weekend, and I haven't pulled it in actual process yet, but I could show you. One of the dogs up there now at the farm, like we ride around in the same RTV that smashed my car 3 years ago. I drive it and ride around it all the time. One of the dogs up there loves to run alongside of it like within inches,
Oh, yeah.
and then loves to run directly in front of it and do donuts in front of you while you're driving it. And it's like that dog scares the crap out of me. It's a sweet dog, but it is dumb as a bag of bricks. And it loves to run right in front of it. And every time I'm driving this thing, I feel like one of these days it's going under this thing. And I
you're
have
just gonna
to,
hear the.
because he gets all the way up to the front to the point where you can't see him. That's how close he gets to the front while you're going
Ranch
15
dogs
miles an
are
hour in this thing.
different.
Farm dogs are crazy, man.
They're
They're crazy.
They have no sense of
Get in
fear.
the vehicle, dog. Okay,
These
just come on in.
These dogs that Duke's dad has, they've been in fights with coyotes. They've been kicked by horses. And they don't care. They just
No,
don't care.
they don't.
If I die, I die. Like
the
whatever.
first dog up there at the farm that I remember as a kid, this is 30-something years ago, was probably around 8, 9, 10 years old. And the dog's name actually was Duke. It's an Australian blue heeler.
I love
blue
They're
heelers.
insane. They're insane.
Super smart dogs, but they're crazy. And I mean, all they do is, all their brain says is to go head to head with a 1,600-pound steer.
Yep.
And they win. Like, the bull doesn't stand a chance against that 50-pound dog, that 30-pound dog, whatever it is.
Really?
No. Because they're so fast, and the bull is up high. I've watched dogs like this, these crazy farm dogs.
It's on their feet.
They'll go head to head. Bull starts taking off, and the dog's just sitting there going, all right. And the
No
dog
problem.
charges right at the bull,
Mhm.
and the dog will get under the bull so fast and then get its whole jaws around the hoof and the ankle of that bull and just squeeze and lock
Ooh.
down, and that bull will reel back screaming and take off running. I've seen that
Wow.
several times. So that's why I always like the blue heelers. I've had a couple of them over the years. But very, very smart, friendly dogs. Great with kids.
Yeah, they're just neurotic.
And they will kick a bull's ass.
And it's
So,
actually
Oh, they're so
blue
cute.
heelers are great, but they are
Yeah.
not.
Oh, I love the coloring too.
oh, yeah. They're pretty dogs. Actually, if anybody in the chat wondering, Mad Max's dog. Go
Mhm.
watch Mad Max,
Yeah.
the
The
dog from
Max.
those movies from Road Warrior that Mel
blue
Gibson had. That's a
heelers?
blue heeler. That's an Australian blue heeler.
Ah.
That's
Now
what
we're
we're
talking
about.
old, the
Yes,
original.
originals, Mel Gibson.
Okay, sorry,
Mhm.
I had to ask because I didn't know that there was an original and a
Not the
remake.
naughty one.
No. Like OG, like
The
real,
OG.
real Mad Max. Mel Gibson,
Mel
40 years
Gibson's,
ago, Mad
Claim to
Max.
fame.
I need to
Yeah.
watch that. That's on the list.
Mhm.
It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
God, watching old movies really gets me, and I love dog movies too. So, did you have dogs growing up all your life then, and as well as into like marriage and kids?
Not all my life. I think the first dog that I had personally that like was our dog, I was probably about 10.
Mm.
Up until that point, the few years before that, it was going up to the farm and having the dog Duke there, and that's kind of what got me into really liking, wanting to have a dog, and then that particular breed. So my first dog was a blue heeler, like he was, and then as time went on, we've got 3 dogs now. So there was a gap in there where I didn't have a dog for several years. After like my dad died, had to move, couldn't keep a dog in an apartment. So, it's
fair.
kind of one of those things. So the next time I had a dog after that was probably about 18 or so. When my first dog passed away. And then I guess it was probably another 6 or 7 years, at least 6 years, because it was 6 years I got married after that when I was 24. And then it was a few years after that we got a first dog, maybe 4 or 5 years after that. So there was
Yeah.
a gap in there about maybe 10 years. Yeah.
I think it's one of the most interesting things, especially with big dogs. Like a lot of training is required for a bigger dog, especially if you have kids and especially if they're young kids. But at the same time, you have to teach your kids how to respect a dog too, because, you don't want their hands in their face. And, if someone pokes you in the eye all the time, I'm sure you're not going to like it. Right. So,
Right. That's why I think certain breeds are very, very good with kids because they're much more tolerant. And blue heelers, if you look at it, they've been this way a while. They've kind of been known this. They're very good dogs with kids because as aggressive as they will be with cows or bulls, they're very gentle with kids. They're very tolerant with kids. I don't know what it is about that breed, but they have a very strong, and I think this is one of the reputations they've had of being so smart. They have a very strong distinction between just generations, probably hundreds if not thousands of years of breeding with those dogs. They know this is what I attack, not this, kind of thing. They're very, very specific in terms of where they will direct that aggression towards if commanded to, if they're trained right, especially with farming and ranching and stuff like this. You'll see them on a lot of ranches. But with kids, man, they're so good. So good.
We had a shepherd Shetland Collie mix when I was a kid growing up. And I feel like all your working and herding dogs, for the most part, are pretty good with kids. She was the
that's
best.
true. That's true.
But
Yeah.
if you think about it, like your worker dogs, your herding dogs, those kind of dogs, they are really, really good with kids. The only thing you got to watch out for sometimes is the neurotices. But in the animal, because some of them are just like, we have to herd all the time, but they use that as like a tool. Like I have friends that have huskies and they don't even need babysitters because they have the huskies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the
I love
huskies
watching
for the
those
kids.
videos where
That's
the
funny.
neighborhood dog always watches like the the dad or mom always lets the kid just wander around at the front yard because the dogs
That was
are there.
our Odie. Odie would do that. So we would be in the front yard and we had this huge, as kids. And of course, I'm little. I don't remember this. I'm just going off my parents' word. But Odie would be out there with us. If we got too close to the street, she would get up and like grab our diapers and pull us back to the grass. And she would, that was her job. That's what she did.
She was hurting you.
She was hurting us.
Well, look, those healers will do it too. And that's always one of the most fascinating things about them. Like I was telling you before, watching a 40-pound dog go at a 1,200-pound, 1,500-pound bull, and the dog wins because of that jaw strength. It's so strong when they lock down on that ankle and they can send that bull in any direction they want. They will do the same thing to a human or a kid or something, but the difference is it's very gentle. Like I had my dog when I had healers, it's like if they wanted to let you know that, hey, I want something, they would go put the jaw around that ankle and just give you just a little...
Like a little nip?
Yeah. I mean, not painful at all.
Just like
just to let you know, hey, I need something. So it's like they knew instinctively the distinction between, working to move cattle and letting a human know that they want something or they need something, or they're playing a lot of times with it. But it was literally night and day between what they would do to, an animal versus what they would do to a human being. It's crazy. I mean, those dogs, like I said, so smart instinctively. And it's just, they're just fun to watch.
Aw. I'm going to have to look into getting a dog like that one day if we want
a collies.
Mm-hmm.
Collies are great. Healers are great. Mastiffs, weirdly enough, I think Corey said that Tom said that in the chat. Mastiffs, they look scary, but they're really, really good with kids. Don't know why, but they are. They are. I love doggies.
I have when Harley was alive, one of my exes had like a German Shepherd who was like the most gentlest thing, 120-pound dog. He was humongous with this little 5-pound dog, and they were like the best of friends.
I love shepherds. I grew up with the German Shepherd. My dad was in K9, so we had the police dog at home. Oh my god, he was the best. He was so cool, the best. You want to talk about an on and off kill switch? Woo!
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jeez, he's a good boy. I miss him. I love shepherds.
I love bulldogs. They do look goofy. They drool too much though. Oh god, the drool.
Yeah.
A lot of health issues too. Low squishy face dogs.
All the squishy face dogs. It's bad. You can't fly with them. Things to think about if you get a dog.
Yep. Can't fly with it. Nose gets all plugged up. They can't breathe. It's awful.
You have to clean their folds too.
They're very cute. No, very, very cute.
Oh, they are. Oh my gosh. We have Andrew Matthews, member for 17 months, says, I had a few new cars, but kept them for 12 years.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, if you're going to buy something new, then maintain it and keep it. I mean, that's consistently advice I give to clients all the time. It's like, stop wasting money every 5 or 6 years buying a new vehicle. It's like, oh, well, it's got 100,000 miles on it. That's too old. It's time to get a new one because I have to do too much to it. It's like, wait, no. What do you have to do to it? Oh, well, it needs, like, it's usually basic maintenance. Like, oh, I need to get some new suspension on. It's going to cost me $1,500. I'm like, well, that's cheaper than $40,000, isn't it? I mean, this is basic math. It's like, I have to get this fixed and that fixed. It's like, well, then what did you do to it over all these years? That it's like, just do basic stuff, usual routine maintenance. And I mean, vehicles should last you a pretty long time. The problem today is that so many of them are computer driven. Everything is driven by a computer module. Yep. And then if anything, the mechanics don't fail. The drivetrain doesn't fail. The engine transmission doesn't fail. But the computer goes out and it's going to cost you $3,000-$4,000 to replace a computer module. That's the crappy part these days.
Yeah. So. God. 12 years though. I cars from the 90s were just tanks. And probably even earlier. I don't know. I never drove a car older than I think 92. And it just, my brother's car, it's an Acura. It's kicking 20, 30 years later still. So it's impressive. Very impressive.
Those Acuras are built to last. My dad has the very first MDX ever that came out in what, 2001, 2002.
the SUV.
He still has it. Yeah, he still has it. Their first run. The second year, my uncle got his. He still has his, and it's got like 400,000 miles on it because they RV and they drove it everywhere, and it's been all over the country. And it runs like a dream. Mine's 10 years old, 230,000 miles on it. Knock on wood, she's doing great. So it's like, I told Duke, I'm like, what do you want when we have to replace this one? I was like, I want another Acura. And I'll get a used one. I don't care. I don't need no brand
exactly.
New.
I mean, get one with 50,000 miles on it. It's like, oh, it just got broken in.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need all that technology for the new cars anyway. It was just a lot of technology. But,
what's the largest your odometer has ever gotten? Because like what, 300,000? Probably.
Mine?
That's the largest mine has ever been.
No, I've never gotten that high. I think, like I said, the longest I've had a car so far was about 9 years, and like I said, the only reason it went down was because of dog tractor.
Dog tractor.
He's not bitter.
I want to say, I'm trying to remember what the mileage on that thing was when that happened. It was probably around. It was at least 150. I just can't remember. Yeah.
450K.
Hey, Honda, Acura, Honda, same company.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's one thing I never
Acura.
understood people leasing cars. You pay to borrow a car.
No, yeah. Those are the people that like can't decide what they want, so they just drive.
The only time that a lease makes or can make sense is that, number one, obviously, if you're not expecting to drive more than whatever the lease allows for, right? Usually it's 15,000 miles a year. You can buy up more mileage in the lease. But if you go over that, you're paying additional money on the lease, right?
But that's weird.
If you're using a car infrequently, and this is key, businesses will lease. So if you talk to CPAs or business analysts, people that work in that field, there'll be times that, like, if you're using this car a lot for business, leasing it can be more advantageous, provided you're not putting 30,000 miles a year on a car. The reason is because you can write off the full monthly cost of the lease on your taxes. Whereas when you buy a car, you're generally not going to depreciate a vehicle on your taxes. And, sometimes taking the standard mileage deduction the IRS affords is not the same. So sometimes, just taking the lease payments and taking off like actual expenses for gasoline can be a much better tax write-off, again, if the car is owned by a corporation, if it's owned by a business. So if you have a small business, so for example, and you know that you're going to be like, I'm just going to buy a regular car to drive around to do this or do that, probably not going to put 10,000 miles a year on it. Leasing might be a good option because you'll get to write it off, and then after a few years, you go get another one. But as far as like a personal vehicle, like you're just buying it to go to your work, your W-2 salary job, where that lease payment, you can't write that off, then no, generally speaking, that doesn't make any sense. But that's usually people that do that are the ones like the dealerships know. It's like, oh, we'll lease it to you because we know this is a customer that has to have a new toy every 4 years or 3 years or 5 years. And it's like, that's where you're getting screwed generally.
Ooh, that's some truth bomb right there.
Dadcast dad advice.
That's what we do. Been doing that for 20 years, telling people stop doing that.
But people still do it. That's the crazy part. There's so much information out there. But, girl math. This is impressive. 940K.
How is that not in a museum somewhere?
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is insane.
Damn.
And that's with the original engine and drivetrain. That's, well, maybe not a transmission. You probably had to replace a transmission, but maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, dang.
We need details, Sean. Original engine, yes, no.
That's pretty sweet. Well, if it's got 940,000 miles, I would imagine it's probably still the original engine. It might have been rebuilt, or maybe had to. Yeah, I'm sure you would have had to gotten some transmission work after that much.
Fixed,
but still, the same vehicle, the same frame, the same chassis. That's pretty sweet.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Just thought of this randomly. We were watching a random YouTube video on like dumb things people do with cars, and one of them was someone put oil in the washer fluid by accident.
Oh no!
Can you imagine? How do you clean that out? I don't know.
Literally. Well, look. Fortunately, that's not as bad as putting washer fluid in the oil.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, with that, it's like depending on if we're talking, 5W30, which is a really thin oil, you probably could shoot that through the jets on the windshield, just get it out, and then flush it with water or siphon it out. If you're talking about like the really heavy stuff, man, that
you have to replace it. Who knows?
Probably gonna have to get a new pump for that washer fluid. Yeah.
What's this you highlighted?
2 transmissions. So there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's still 2 transmissions over almost 1 million miles. That's nothing.
It's really cool.
That's nothing. Yeah, and it's however many years between transmissions. Like,
God, yeah. How old is that vehicle?
No kidding. What year was it? What was it?
Well, it was a GMC. If it's a GMC pickup, it's got to be a Sierra, I bet.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
Must be.
We will find out in a moment once Sean drops it.
So crazy.
Nick the Greek for $1.99 says, I've always had dogs and I find mutts to be the best. Ooh.
That's all I've got. It's a bunch of mutts.
I got Chihuahua.
I call them the 3 bitches.
Well, then you have 4 in total. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, if you want to throw in, I got
Sparkles?
2 daughters and a wife, so
My God.
So I got 6 bitches. You started that, not me. So I'm not taking the blame.
I always tell Mark that I'm one of his bees with JoJo. Technically, JoJo is one.
That's fair. That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered now. I'm the only girl in the house now since my Selena girl passed. So I'm outnumbered. I have all boys.
Too many boys.
Too many boys.
Well, I mean, we actually have names for them in the house. I mean, the 3 dogs. I mean, it's old bitch, dumb bitch, and fat bitch.
Dewey and Louie.
Do they react to it?
Not really. No,
Okay.
I mean, Luna, the dumb one, yeah, sometimes she does. so they're all very sweet, but yeah, we had to give them some funny nicknames. So
I love it. Sean says bought in 2002, went bad in 2020. So 18
Was it
years
brand new, Sean? Was it a 2002 or was it an older car? Like, did you put all those 940 miles, 1,000 miles? I have questions.
that's a lot of miles, even for 18 years.
I
Man. That's
You must have had to do some sort of travel job.
50,000 miles a year we're talking there. That's a ton, man.
I struggled to put like 20,000 when I was actually commuting to work. So
I'm actually thinking about once Duke starts working in Austin, because he'll be taking the truck half the time and then the car half the time. I'm actually kind of looking into registering my Acura as a classic car.
Can you?
Yeah, you have to put it under. Well, in Nevada, I think it was under 5,000 miles a year.
Yeah, there's usually mileage restrictions
like
when you
that.
go
And
to
that's
classic or antique or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Why not? But it's
because
like half
registering
the cost
that
to
way
renew
gives
it.
you insurance reductions. So that's
Mhm.
yeah.
And cheaper, and it's
I like
cheaper to
that.
register it too.
Well, that's why they limit the mileage, right? So it's like if you want to register something as an antique car, you can. It puts you into a different category for car insurance, but then that's why you have the mileage restrictions, because they will treat it as, okay, we're going to insure it, but it can't be like a daily driver.
Yeah.
It has to be like it's a show car.
You're literally driving it to the
You
place.
put a few thousand miles a year on it, driving it to a show or something.
Yeah.
So that's why they usually, at least in Louisiana, that's pretty much how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
that's the same
state's going to be a little bit
in-
different, but yeah.
Nevada was the same way. I think their max was no more than 5,000 a year, and then you had to submit the mileage somewhere. I don't know if it was the insurance or if it was DMV. That part I didn't get that far into it, but you had to submit it. Sean says brand new, was a salesman driving the whole state. Oh wow!
Oh, there we go.
That's
Okay, that
impressive.
makes so much sense.
I hope you took a photo of that and have it in a frame somewhere, because that's wow. I've never heard of a car going up that high. That's crazy.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, 20 years
done.
and almost 1 million miles, and that's crazy.
Kudos to you. Jeez.
All right, so we're gonna keep the show a bit on the short side, just time. I know Valliant has been sick. He's trying to catch up on things. It's the holidays. We're all trying to catch up on
I'm
things.
good. You don't have to cut the show short on my
No,
account.
I
so.
also need to pee. So.
And she's probably cold.
Well, there's that. So.
And colds, yes. But where can people find you? Oh my God. Can Gary be registered as an antique?
Depends on how miles to get. You know what? I'm gonna
Wait, hang on. Let me pull that back up for a second here. I just want to do one thing.
Are you
real
taking
quick.
a picture of that?
Screenshot. There we go. We're gonna make sure that's on Twitter here in the next few minutes. Thank you very much. Sorry, Gary. I'll see you soon, buddy.
Depends on how many miles gets put on him every year.
Yeah, that's true. No, you can find me on YouTube. I'm gonna have to get my channel back up and moving again. It's been relatively dormant with the exception of live shows for the last I'd say 6 to 8 weeks, just with everything going on into the year with real day job stuff. So trying to get back into the rhythm here. So hopefully get a couple of things done tonight or tomorrow and get some things back out there again. So check me out on YouTube and Twitter. So
yeah, it's got a cool channel. Check it out.
Pretty cool.
Tugs, do you have anything you want to promote?
I'm going to be going live after this actually to play whatever y'all voted on. I think it was Hogwarts Legacy. So on Kick and Twitch. So
I want to get back into that. I miss playing that.
Yeah, play games, Valiant. Oh my god, you should play Party Animals. It was really fun.
Party Animals.
I spent a lot of time on Hogwarts Legacy and Final Fantasy 16.
I'm loving it.
Love both those games. Great games. Top two.
I've been playing Final Fantasy since 1987. When the first
Oh
one
my
came out.
God.
That year.
Oh my god.
Well, I was 8.
I was a wee little baby.
No, I still have the original down there in the original box and everything.
Really?
Oh yeah. Final Fantasy.
That's
That
the
is
first one in
awesome.
'87. Final Fantasy 2, which was 4 in Japan. 6, which was 3 here. All the original Super NES and NES, and still have them all. Original owner. Even all the old like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana, and still have all the originals there too. So,
Wow, that's cool.
Awesome.
I was a big fan of those growing up and still am. That's one of the few things, like when PlayStation 5 and 4 and 3, the only reason I bought those newer PlayStations, I'm not a big gamer anymore, was because they had Final Fantasy games coming out for those systems. So I had to keep up. So, but Hogwarts Legacy actually got me to buy a PS5 early.
I
last
love
year
Hogwarts Legacy so much.
because I really wanted to play it. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. So, yeah.
I love it.
Tom
I'm
must
hoping
know
for an
if you'll do
expansion
Fortnite.
pack.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah, where's my expansion pack? Do I no I tried Fortnite once, Tom.
Fine. It's
Renegade Jr. plays it, and he was like teaching me how to do it one night a few weeks ago over the break, but I haven't. It's another thing. It's like I enjoyed it the few minutes that I played it with him, but it's like I don't want to get into another thing. It's like I don't.
That's fair.
Yeah, he's like I don't want to get sucked down another rabbit hole. I knew I was gonna make time to get sucked down a rabbit hole for a Final Fantasy entry and even Hogwarts Legacy. But I'm like, how many more rabbit holes do I need to throw in front of myself right now?
Oh my gosh, I have so many rabbit holes I'm in now. I finally finished Beyond Two Souls. So it's like one game I've completed. I'm in the middle of Hogwarts Legacy. I'm in the middle of Alan Wake. I'm in the middle of
There's so many games to play, not enough time.
Yeah.
My problem.
Yeah. It's like I keep it the simple stuff. Mario Kart Tour on my phone,
There
so
you go.
That's cool. I had no idea that you could play that on a phone.
Oh yeah, Mario. It's
Hey.
been out for 3 years. I've been playing it since it started 3 years ago. So
The only
Yeah.
game I played is Plants vs. Zombies on the phone.
Mario
love that
Kart
game.
Tour is a lot of fun. I really like that one. I play that constantly. I haven't played like regular Mario Kart on the Switch in a while. But in fact, a lot of the new courses, like they did with the expansion pack for the Switch, guess where they came from? They came from Mario Kart Tour.
I
Yeah,
had
all the
idea.
city courses, like all the new city courses, like they had Los Angeles laps, and they have one from Sydney, and they have one from Berlin. They made all these city courses. Those all were built for Mario Kart Tour on the
Wow.
mobile devices, and then they transferred them to all the regular Mario
The
Kart on
Nintendo
Switch.
version. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Dang. Nintendo. Yeah. I'll be on Nick Weiser's channel at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Talk about Rambo First Blood. Watch that for the first time. That was really fun.
The
fun
first time you watched? Oh,
Ever.
I forget how dark that movie gets at the end, where
It's
he's
so
like,
dark.
"You don't know. They called me killer and blah blah. I was like, Duke was watching the other day. I'm like, God, I don't remember this very sad scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while since I've
cried.
seen this. Clearly, it was awful.
That
This is a
was-
very honest film. I mean, look, a lot of people like to make fun of like, oh, Sylvester Stallone is stupid and all this. He's really not. He's classically he's one of the best writers and directors that Hollywood has ever had. You look at the body of work that he put together, the characters who created Rocky, Rambo, all these things. I mean, he's a talented dude. Watch the Rambo movie from 2000, was it 6 or 9? I can't remember. I think it was 2009. The one that's just called Rambo. Not the most recent one, not Last Blood or whatever. That was okay, but it wasn't that great. But Rambo from 06 or 09,
I think it was 2006.
Yeah. That's a hard watch the first time you're going to watch it, but it's very honest. So
I want to read the book and see if it's anything like the movie.
I heard there's a lot of changes, but people said that they like the movie better than the book, which doesn't happen too often. At least my chat.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often at all.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much, Valliant, for hanging out with us. You are our first recurring guest, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I had to bug out unexpectedly last time. So
it's all good. It's all good. And we appreciate having you here. I'm sure chat does too. And we will definitely have you back I didn't even plan any of this. We just started talking about random stuff. So
my favorite, it's like a sip and chill dad version.
Yeah. And I get to learn a lot. So thank you.
We'll do it again someday.
Of course. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.